good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on what time it is where you are. I am Michelle with YesMichelle Crochets. We are live, and though no one has arrived just yet, I am going to move forward because we only have an hour and we've got one of the best parts of book club available to us right now. So, as you enter, whenever you enter, please do me a favor and let me know what you're sipping on and what your thoughts are as we progress through this part of our book club session. Now, of course, tonight we are going to be talking about the final five chapters of the book, chapters 11 through 15. And where we start at this point is her note about time. Yes, two more year of yes. In these notes, she shares with us that she's already, of course, concluded what would be the end of her year of yes. And she said it should have ended months ago. Yet the concept of ending made her feel hollow. This transition is actually her awareness now that she has a choice to make. She can abandon the path, which is her year of yes, or she can continue recognizing her new self. She takes this moment to enjoy her progress. And I think that's a pivotal moment for her. It certainly, as a reader of this story, hey, Sugar Diamond, welcome in. Hello, and thank you for being here tonight. But as I said, taking a moment to recognize the progress that you've made in an effort, whether it's your year of yes or whatever you're doing in your long term progress activity, is crucial because it is at that juncture that you accept what you've done that was a good thing, or you've decided this is a project we had better abandon and pivot. So in this moment, she is saying yes to her yes. And that's a very good thing. For her, saying no was her retreating. It was her unconscious delved into an almost unaliving like situation. I can't say the word that she used. Well, hello. I'm sorry, spaghetti. I'm probably butchering your name, darling. I am so, so sorry. As you enter, do me a favor, of course, as I always ask, please do hit like. Um, but again, she was intentionally not living. That's a very ugly thing to admit to oneself when you recognize not embracing, not taking opportunities that present themselves to you is your internal dialogue of negativity, and it's not spaghetti. Like kids say spaghetti. Ah, okay. Well, welcome in. It is so good to see you. So great to meet you. She added that saying yes put her in the active role of living as opposed to the receptive role of not living. So she chose life, which is why she continued on with her year of yes long after her year of yes would have ended. Now, on to chapter 11. Yes to no. Yes to difficult conversations. She opens up the chapter telling us about her vision of learning to drive, how it was going to be the embarking of freedom, the excitement of independence, being able to drive herself to school. Now, just for the record, I didn't even learn to drive until I was 27, so that was so not my experience. But this was where she discovered that she had a way of erasing her memory because this first opportunity to learn to drive, her instructor told her to get on the freeway. And instead of saying, no, I'm not ready, she did it. And she legitimately has no memory of what that was like. Her instructor literally lost color in his face. It was a horrible experience for the both of them. He unfortunately was thinking she was a different person. Hello, Miss Amber. Good evening. And in thinking she was a different person, he thought she had a different skill set, not knowing this was her very first time behind the wheel. So putting her in the deep end of the situation made this a nightmare for the both of them. Hello, my Jessica. How are you tonight? And of course, Amber, stay as long as you can. And when you get ready to go, I hope whatever you're doing next is a wonderful experience for you. And thanks for being here just the same. Excuse me. She also tells us about Linda Lowy, and this is the person who cast every role for pretty much every show she's done. I don't know if she still does it today because, of course, this is long after the book was written. But she said that in this moment, you have to find your voice in saying no. No is probably in some ways even more important than yes, because no tells people this is my line in the sand, don't cross it. And with that said, you don't. If you can find your voice to say, I want, red, I don't want blue, then people learn who you are and what not to try with you. As long as you're malleable, if you're the Play Doh in someone else's life, you're always going to get played with. You're never going to get what you want. So that was one of my major takeaways from that chapter. To say no is indeed hard. And a lot of people don't find the voice to say no at a time when they should. They find a time to say no to easy things like, no, I'm not going to go to that party. Not because you don't want to go, you're saying no because you're afraid of something. That's not the no you need to be looking for. And when you don't say no to the things you should say no to, or the things that are going to make you uncomfortable, you're going to find that people will take advantage of you. Like I said, you become malleable. And if you're malleable, people are going to get away with everything in your life. And that's just not fun, nor is it fair. She said it was because of saying no to the wrong actor as they were casting the roles for Grey's Anatomy. She was like, this person isn't it. It's a no. And she said it loudly. She said it boldly. But the blessing of that was they got the actress Sandra Oh to play Christina Yang. Christina Yang is one of the, hey, Ricky, good evening. Christina Yang is one of the most pivotal roles in that storyline in the first 10 seasons of that series. And if Sandra Oh had not played that role, I don't know that the show would have survived as long as it has. Because this, she honestly is Shonda. But we find out more about that later on. Her saying no to the person that everybody was telling her, this is the person you need to get. And she's, because she's new. This is her first show. And the person who's doing all the casting for the show is put this person in front of her and go, okay, we'll see what you do with that. When she said, no, that's not who I want, she was like, okay, well, that's a no for her, and let's move on. In walks Sandra Oh. The rest of the story is history. Let me go forward with my notes, guys. Bear with me. I have a ton of notes. Probably like many of you, I've been busy all day, and I want to make sure that I hit all the really good points about the book. And then I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret, but you got to wait for the rest of it. Like I said, she ended up creating the environment where she saw staff that supported her. And I don't know about you all in your work experiences, but what I have found on occasions when I've worked with others, if I had a boss who let everybody dictate how the environment was supposed to be instead of being the leader of the environment, I hated the job. I hated the job because I felt like it was a committee and not a leadership experience. That never worked for me. And 9 times out of 10, because I am quite the alpha person, I became the leader. If I didn't, if my boss didn't know how to lead us, I became the voice in my boss's head that said, okay, the team needs to do X. And then that person would go and run it. And I usually resented that on the other side of being the leader because I wasn't being paid to do that job. Yet I was being leaned on to do it because if no one leads, we go nowhere. So that was my truth in that situation. On to chapter 12. Chapter 12 is yes to people. Here we learn she's far more comfortable giving speeches than she was at the beginning of the story. As you might remember, she talked about how she was being interviewed by Oprah and had zero memory of it. And as a result of her experiences and her fears, she usually skirted away or avoided being interviewed. Now she loves being interviewed. She loves giving speeches. She'd often been invited to give a speech and just said, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy, or whatever her laying track was to avoid that circumstance. Now she does it in her real life and she loves it. Um, she talked about in this one particular speech she was about to give, she didn't want to do it because she was going to be alone. And her sister said, you're not going to be alone. Invite your people. The people who were coordinating this event told her, bring who you want to bring your support team. And what I loved about the way she did this book was she shared that speech with us and getting to hear it as she had done it that night. It was breathtaking for me because not only did she celebrate what she had accomplished to that moment. She celebrated the people who she surrounded herself with. Many of us have probably heard the statement as a child, no man is an island. You are, even if you were a solo birth, I'm a solo birth. I'm not a twin or a triplet or any of the multiples. I'm the only child that was born on that day to my mother. So I think of myself in many ways as an island. I like to do things independently. I like to be alone. I like my company, but I'm not an island. I am not by myself. There is a need for engagement with others. I'm getting it tonight with you guys. And Ricky is saying, congratulations on 600 subscribers. Thank you, my darling. Thank you so, so much. Guys, I'm not meaning to ignore the chat, but in order for me to crunch down 5 chapters of a book plus some other information I want to get to you, I really can't focus on the chat the way I would normally do. And I thank you for being patient with me because it doesn't mean your words aren't important to me. They just mean I can't focus on 2 things at once. I'm just not that good yet. So she talked about in the feeling of alone, you create your own circle. I have shared with plenty of you many times, probably too many, admittedly, that for me, I didn't have the best foundational experience. And I'm a bit of a different person today than I was then. I am who I am because of the things I've been through, but I am very quick to say, okay, this is my boundary. And whether you're a friend or a family member or whoever, if your presence in my life causes me to shrink, then I'm going to show you the exit ramp and put you out of my life. It does not matter if you're my whoever, whatever. DNA has no excuse in my life for you to give me bad behavior. You will not shrink me. I'm only 5'4". I only grew that tall. So that means I am as tall as I'm going to be, and you are not going to make me any less than I am. That just is who I am. And I hope, and I really hope that you hear that from me and apply that to your life. Don't let your aunt or your sister or your brother or your whatever, your religious leader, whatever the situation, don't let others tell you who you are. Be who you are. And they'll either rise up to where you are or they will find the exit ramp in your life and exit appropriately. Someone else's exit is the opportunity for someone new to come in. I have created at this big age in my life my own family. Some of my family members are quietly sitting in the background, Other family members are boldly sitting right in front of us. And I love each and every one of those family members. Not all of them, maybe none of them, or biologically related to me. That's secondary to my thought train. My thought train is when I am my most authentic and my most real self, those people show up for me. They say, hey, I'm going to call you out on this. You weren't being completely true to who you are. Or they say, you know what? I love that you were able to be, vulnerable in that moment. So she shares that in different contexts within this particular chapter. But during that speech, she also gets to thank and celebrate those people who are legitimately there. And in that, I want to remind you, don't forget to celebrate your tribe. Don't forget to celebrate the people who got you where you are, keep you where you are, and help you reach your next level. And of course, dance it out. She talks about dancing throughout many of her shows and many of the aspects of her story, directly and indirectly. So there is chapter 13. Yes to dancing it out with the right people. This is what I mean when I say find your tribe and celebrate with them. Um, find your song no matter the reason and let your song speak your truth. And I'm going to put a pin in this to add the caveat. When you find your song, let that song be your theme song. I have a theme song. I have had a theme song for more than 20 years, which is so wild to say because I never thought I would be reading this book or having this dialogue about somebody else's year of yes. I guess in some ways, my whole adult life has been stepping into my year of yes, my life of yes. Kind of why my channel is called Yes Michelle. But again, that's secondary. My theme song is Step by Step by Whitney Houston. If you haven't heard this song, if you don't know this song, once we are done, I highly recommend that you take a moment and play that song and legitimately listen to the words because they will inspire, I hope, something in you because they certainly inspire something in me. When I am feeling trepidatious and afraid to do something or to say something or to embark on a new experience, I play that song and I do my warrior pose. I put my hands on my hips. I stand as tall and erect as my average height person that I am, but I feel like I can take on the entire world because I know my theme song. I know my truth and I know who I am. Good evening, Amanda. Welcome in. And by doing that for me, I hope I inspire you to do that for you. So, as she continued to talk, she talked about the experience of we will often be boxed in by the view of what others see in us. And sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. I've had people to say, "Oh, you're aggressive." No, I'm not aggressive. I'm absolutely aware of who I am, and I'm not aggressive. I'm just not willing to let you lead me where I don't want to go. I'm absolutely glad to tell you that I am an amazing mom. And there will be people who will tell you, well, because you come from this socioeconomic situation, you can only achieve this. That's not true. You can achieve anything you put legitimate work into becoming. I promise you, there are people when I said before I ever pressed the button to start my YouTube channel, you can't be a YouTuber. Nobody is going to listen to you. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. And the truth is, their projection upon me was really their truth. Nobody wants to hear what they have to say because I didn't want to hear that. So I didn't listen. And 600 people say I was right to not listen. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, If you don't feel safe in a given room, you're in the wrong room. It's very important sometimes if it's your room and everybody in the room is giving you feedback that makes you shrink, feel small, or less than, it's either time for you to change rooms or open a window and start pushing people out. You have every right to be you, whether it is you want to be an actress, you want to be a singer. Now, of course, if you can't sing like me, just come sit over here by me. We will be off key together. It'll be okay. But live your truth, whatever it is. If you love a certain way and friends and family don't agree, as long as you're not hurting anyone, now please do not be Diddy. But beyond that, be who you are. If you love someone of the same gender, so be it. That's not other people's right to criticize or critique. Again, you have every right to be who you are. And I celebrate that for you. As long as the object of your affection is reciprocating that, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Amanda, somebody didn't what? I didn't what? I don't know. I'm confused. I'm confused. This is why I'm staying out of the chat. I get confused easy and I squirrel. So there is that. Um, Shonda revealed in this chapter that she altered her view of other people in her life to excuse their bad behavior. And that made me pause and really reflect on the people. You thought you heard me say, don't be a Diddy. Well, I did say that. Don't be a Diddy. Do not be Diddy. And I think you know what I mean. And if you don't, I love your naivete. Nonetheless, back to my point, there were plenty of people who've been in my life who took advantage and manipulated the situations that I allowed myself to be in. I am naturally a caretaker. If I see someone that is hurt, if I see someone that needs help or could benefit from a skill set that I have, then I lean into helping them. But sometimes I allow them to take advantage of me when I should be saying no. If I had $5 and someone I knew needed $2, does it matter that they wasted $200? In the past, no, it didn't. Today, absolutely. Absolutely. Your failure to plan is not my emergency. Your failure to be a good steward of what you have available in your life does not mean I need to be uncomfortable to make you whole. That's not my job. She shared that there were people in her life as she began to amass a little bit more than the average wealth. She never calls herself rich. And I'm grateful that she doesn't because she makes the money that she makes to live the life she lives. I don't begrudge her that. I think it's amazing. I love that for her. Simultaneously, there are others who will come into your life as you elevate, who will feel you owe them something. You owe no one anything. You owe you your best life. Beyond that, everybody else has the same number of hours in their days and the same opportunity to make the most of their life. Don't let somebody take advantage of you because they tell you, well, I'm your mother, your sister, your aunt, your whatever. No, that's not okay. And there were people in her life who tried that and she felt guilty. What if they get angry? What if they do? Let them get angry. Let them tell you exactly who they are. And when they do, it just verified what you were afraid of. So now you know. How you act after you know who someone really is tells you more about them than it does about you. What is your role in their life? Are you the financier of their life? If you are, you're paying way more than you should. If there is no reciprocation, now maybe you make more than somebody else. Okay, I get helping and supporting and encouraging. But simultaneously, do they give you time? Do they support you? Or are they only taking advantage of what you can give? And if the shoe was on the other foot and you couldn't give, would they still be there? If the answer is no, it's already time for them to go. So check them out. So there you are with that. Chapter 14. Guys, we are almost done. And we're halfway through our hour. So wait a minute. What did you say, Ricky? Everyone gets my business hours. Only I get my quality hours. Amen. Amen. Hey, Michael, welcome in. Thank you. I appreciate it. Get back to filming and have some fun tonight. Now, chapter 14 is yes to who I am. Shonda talks about the fact that she's the person who dressed Betsy Beers for her wedding. And in the process and the journey of that, we learned that Shonda was previously engaged. And with that particular chapter, I kind of read it because, again, for me, this is a reread. This isn't an original read. And I listened to it, but I also kind of bypassed some of it because her personal story in that relationship, quite honestly, was none of my business and I didn't want to know. But I love that in her effort to find what made her happy, she also found her truth. Her truth is she doesn't want to be married. She knew that. She lied to herself. She deceived others. And unfortunately, there was a casualty, and that was the person she was engaged to. That casualty was them believing they were going to build a life together. She never wanted that. And at some point, she had to speak her truth to this person and say, I don't want to be married. Can you imagine how hurt that person must have been? Because she was living the now. Yes, go to the parties. Yes, hang out. Yes, to wait a minute, and I have to find it because she made a statement that I promise you made me almost scream. Her client having meetings, which is her euphemism for sex. This cracked me up because we all have our colloquialisms or euphemisms for a given statement or situation. But this to me was funny. Her client having meetings. She's absolutely all about it. She's like, yes, I want the sex. I just don't want the wake up and see you in my bed every day for the rest of my life thing. And it isn't that she has seen bad marriages or bad experiences and she's rebelling against that. No, quite the opposite. Her parents, in her eyes, have the most perfect marriage. And she talks about how her parents are both wicked, smart, and nerdy. And this her their nerdy connection is how we get Shonda, who at before she could read was laying track, telling stories, creating a life as a kid who didn't even know how to read and write yet. That to me is powerful and amazing. And I'm impressed by that alone. But I'm also impressed that in her year of yes, she learned to speak all of her truths, including the truth that she didn't want to be married. Now, for someone coming into her life who wants to be a romantic partner, that's a great thing and a terrible thing simultaneously. If your truth is you want someone in your life who is going to cohabitate with you and be married, they want that piece of paper, and you don't want that, you need to say that in the beginning of the relationship. Be honest of what your goal is. If you're dating someone and you want marriage and you know they don't make them shrink to be what you want, because one of you is going to be miserable and the other one is going to be living a fantasy land. If you want to live fantasy land, go to Disney World. Do not do that to your real life, because at some point somebody is going to change and you're not going to like it. So there is that. And hello to all 11 people in the chat. Even if you're just lurking, do me a favor, please hit the like button. As you all know me probably at this point well enough, I am going to chat whether you chat in the chat box or not. It just is what I have to do. Now, she describes her parents as MFEO, made for each other. And I think they are indeed made for each other because they have weathered storms that life throw at you, and simultaneously they both get each other's quirky. She talks of an experience where they're in a hotel and the parents think that the children are sleeping, and the mom makes a statement, and I'm going to get it wrong because I didn't write it down, but it's something so obscure and strange and very cerebral. And instead of the dad going, you're the only one thinking about that, he says, I was thinking of that too. I can say honestly and most sincerely in my nerdy way that there have been situations in my life where I've had the most authentic and real conversations with people about the strangest things. And I always knew where I stood with people based on whether or not I could have those weird and strange and bizarre conversations and not have them say, why are we having this conversation? They just leaned into my nerd and they liked it and they added to it. And that made me feel amazing. So don't let others plan a place in your life if that's not where you want them to be. If you know that sleeping in your bed means by myself every night, don't invite somebody into a relationship who's looking for that comfort of somebody being next to them every day. I admit, if marriage is something that I do in my life, it's probably going to be with 2 bedrooms because I like having my own bed. I don't mind sharing it occasionally, but an everyday thing, Michelle likes her own bed. It just is what it is. I know that about me. I like that about me. My most recent relationship worked because I only had to spend the cohabitation time on the weekend. Monday through Friday, I was footloose and fancy free. The king size bed was mine and mine alone, and I loved it, and I still love it. So there is that. As she discusses the details of her relationship with her partner, they make it clear that they wanted more, and she's not available for that. So that becomes a point of contention, but they get through it. And I am making sure I'm getting all my notes because I don't want to miss anything. Um, okay, yeah. Let's move on to chapter 15. Yes to beautiful. She opens up this chapter talking about standing on an apple crate, which is just a crate that you would normally get fruit in. And there's a beautiful backdrop, plain but elegant. And she's sitting there about to bust out laughing because this is so unreal to her. At the onset of this storyline, we learn that she is uncomfortable with the way her body looks and she has made changes. She's starting to feel her internal and external beauty. Um, I had to stop in this chapter and go and do what I do, which is the nerd out. I'm like, why do I keep thinking this lady is older than I am? She technically is, that she's a couple of months older than me, but literally it's just a couple of months older than me. In fact, she just recently had a birthday on January 13th, and she's now officially 55. Um, she mentions throughout the book the FOD, first, only, different. And that is a mind break for me because I'm the first. I'm the first born in my siblings. I'm the only girl and I'm different. I'm different because I charted my own pathway. Though one of my brothers is deceased and my other brother lives in a different state, I didn't follow the pathways that they followed. I didn't do the things that they did or have done. And in some ways that meant a parting of the ways relationship wise for members of my family. And I'm totally okay with that because at the end of the day, I am the most authentic me. She does not embrace the word different and diversity because it's divisive. I respect that. In some ways, I embrace that because I love the uniqueness that is me. I hope you love the uniqueness that is you. But I can also understand why collective connective is important. And for her, that's something she shows up with in her shows. People question, they disagree with, and maybe they're even a little uncomfortable with the characters that she develops in her storyline because some of them are same-sex relationships, some of them are people with different heritage backgrounds, different nationality backgrounds. And quite honestly, that's the way the fabric of the world really is. If you're uncomfortable with that, then the problem isn't what you see, it's what you think. And that should be something that gets fixed quick because that means your brain is broken, not your vision. That's just my opinion. I'm going to leave it with that. Guys, I'm going to jump back in the chat and say hi to everybody and find out what people's thoughts are at this point. And then I'm going to have a little bit of conversation. I'm going to save that for like the last 5 minutes because I'm going to tell you what our next book is because, yes, I already know. So, hi, Ivy. I'm sorry. Ivy said, okay, so boom, facts, facts. I don't know what the facts was about because I kind of blew up through it all. But thank you for being here. I'm sorry, Ivy. I am not familiar, but I am so, so glad to meet you. Thank you for being here. And of course, everybody was speaking earlier. Amanda knew what I was talking about. I love that. I love that. And I'm just scrolling up and then I'll scroll down in a second. Um, okay, Amber shared with us that she's in a meeting. That's wonderful. I hope she's having a great time. And of course, Ricky is celebrating Michael's filming. Sugar said hello. And she also said hi to Avi. So, what are you guys' takeaways from the book? What were your thoughts about the book if you had the opportunity to read it or just listen to me give you the synopsis of it? And do you have a theme song or a song that when you hear it, it really does speak to your soul? Do me a favor, leave that information in the chat so that I can see and we can have a little bit of conversation with one another. And forgive me for looking down. I need some water because I literally have been talking at warp speed and I'm thirsty now. So, okay. Mm, that is so good. Today's water is our flavored water. I have coconut, I have to think, coconut, pina colada, and pineapple all in the same cup in 2 bottles of water, 40 ounces. Because, yeah, water is delicious when I get it. So, our chat is super quiet and it is weird, at least to me, because I'm used to you guys saying things. So, I'm going to close this out because things are popping up on my phone. And though I'm appreciative, I can't focus on that. And if nobody has anything they want to add, I'm actually going to reveal the book. I will let you guys know that in the next couple of days, I will place a post on the community tab. And on that community post, I will drop a link for you to grab the next book so that we can be ready. We won't start that book until the first Wednesday in February. So next week, I would love just to get together and talk with you guys about what your thoughts are about the book. Hello, Sharon. Welcome in. Welcome in. But I'd also like to know if you all have gotten the book that I'm going to be recommending for us to take a look at. And Ricky said, I haven't been able to read up in the book. I have, yeah, I know. And Ricky, I've been sending positive vibes your way because you do have a lot going on, but you are such an amazing person. So I certainly hope whenever you have the time to read the book that you enjoy it. And I'd still love to hear what your thoughts are further down the line when you do make time to read it. Oh, that is so, so good. So I'm sorry. I just had a total squirrel moment. I completely forgot what I was about to say. And I hate when that happens. Usually I can shut the camera down and start over, but of course we're live and that does make a bit of a difference. But again, it's gone. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I'm glad you did, Ricky. You know you mean a lot to me. You all do, but when you're going through things, I feel it with you, and I'm sending cheery thoughts your way to improve the situation. Excellent, Sharon. Excellent. Again, like I said, I am really looking forward to hearing how this book impacts you. I very rarely grab a book that makes me want to reread it. This was one that I was excited to reread, and you'll bear with me. I am moving things on my desk. My desk is a mess, and I'm so glad you can't see it. This book was so important to me that I legit grabbed the journal. And now that we are done reading the book together, I will be diving into the journal and doing the exercises associated with it because I want to propel myself forward in the activities that are happening within this book and marrying that into my day-to-day life. So I'm excited about being able to do that. I'm also excited about the next book, and it's written on my whiteboard. So that's why I keep looking off to what would be my left to on your screen. I think it's your right. And to share, the book is called The Let Them Theory. Like I said, I will be sending out information for you guys to grab a link for that later. I am, of course, going to do this book via audiobook. I don't yet know if there is a link for it to do as an audiobook through Audible or Kindle, meaning, or they're both available. But I know there's definitely an Audible version of this book. And the little that I have heard about it is amazing. The premises of it is let people be who they are, make their decisions. We have to let people be themselves. If somebody's making a bad decision, it's their decision to make. We are not the, General McCarthy's of other people's lives. We only control our experience, our life. And when we stop trying to micromanage others, sometimes they learn lessons that we can't teach them. I can fix somebody else's wagon but so many times, and then eventually I run out of screws and they've got to learn their lesson. I think about a relative of mine who used to get in trouble all the time, and their mother used to make excuses for their bad behavior when their mother was no longer available to make those excuses and cover for their bad behavior. They finally got the consequences of their bad behavior. Unfortunately, it meant that they were pulled away from their family for a very long time because of their bad behavior. But it's the consequences of their actions. And guys, it is 6:44, and because I know that a lot of us have things to do, and I am sitting here and my head is going, okay, you need to eat. You need to eat. I forgot to eat before we did this. So I am going to shut down just a little bit early because, yeah, I need to go eat. And my body is telling me now, not later, now. So, guys, forgive me for cutting this short, but in truncating this book, I was able to give you all the information I wanted to give you about it. You now know what the next book is going to be for the month of February. I do hope you guys have had an amazing evening. I hope you've had fun today. And Ricky is saying, I will say good night from Sweden. Good night, my darling. Good night, everyone. I love each and every one of you. I will see you in my next video. Hey, Charlotte, welcome in. And she said she was lurking. Thank you for being here, guys. I'm going to cut because I got to go eat. I got to go eat. And I love each and every one of you. I am hoping to do a premiere tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Thursday can be sometimes crazy for me. But if it's going to be a premiere, it'll probably be in early afternoon during nap time. So good night, everybody. You all take care. Have some fun today. And I'll see you next time.